There is a common myth that money is a corrupting force, that it somehow turns good people into monsters. But the truth is much simpler and much more uncomfortable. Money doesn't change you, it just stops you from pretending. If a person becomes a monster when they get rich, they were always a monster, they were just a broke one. If a person becomes a saint, they were always a saint. Now they just have a budget to prove it. Today we're looking at the 6 stages of the ultimate unmasking. We're going to see what happens when the pressure is gone and when you are finally allowed to be exactly who you are. It starts with the most uncomfortable realization of all, that the morals you've been proud of for 30 years might be just a side effect of your tax bracket. Welcome to the survival mask versus the true self. We all like to believe we're good people. We tell ourselves we're kind, patient, and ethical. But the uncomfortable truth is that for the 99% of the population, goodness is just a survival strategy. Think about it. When you are broke or even comfortable, you're a prisoner of the consequences. You're polite to a boss because you need a paycheck. You're agreeable to your neighbors because you might need a favor. You follow the law because you can't afford a lawyer to make a problem go away. You aren't necessarily a saint, you're just someone who can't afford the luxury of being a jerk. But wealth is the ultimate solvent. It dissolves the social glue that keeps you nice.
I think my mask of sanity is about to slip.
When you have enough money to never need a favor again, when you can pay the fine without blinking or buy the silence of those you offend, the mask of good citizen starts to crack. If your kindness was only a performance to keep your life from falling apart, it will vanish the moment you are safe. Money doesn't give you a new personality, it just gives you the permission to stop pretending. It reveals whether your integrity was a core pillar of your soul, or was it just a costume you wore because you were too poor to be yourself. Most people spend their lives praying for the day they finally make it. What they don't realize is that making it is the day they finally have to meet the stranger living inside them, the one who's been waiting for the consequences to disappear so they can finally turn up the volume. But once the mask is off and you finally stop pretending, you don't just stay the same. Without the pressure to fit in or play nice, you start to lean into who you've actually been all along. Every tiny crack in your character, every small habit you used to hide, it all starts to grow until it's the only thing people see. And this is what happens when you hit the volume knob effect. Wealth is a megaphone. It has zero interest in changing your character. It only cares about giving you a bigger stage. If you were a little bit of a jerk when you had $50, you aren't going to magically become a saint when you have 50 million. You're just going to become a massive, world-class tyrant with the resources to back it up. If you were insecure and spent your last $100 on a pair of sneakers to feel important, wealth isn't going to cure that insecurity, it's just going to turn it into a relentless, soul-crushing obsession with labels, status, and a luxury that never ends. Money doesn't invent new traits, it's not a creator, it's an amplifier. It takes the you that used to whisper in the back of your head, the one that was too scared or too broke to act out, and it gives that version of you a microphone and a spotlight. It provides the fuel for your existing traits to reach their logical, loudest, and most extreme conclusion. It strips away the silence. It takes your smallest habits and deepest flaws and makes them scream for the world to hear. But when you turn the volume up that high, it doesn't just drown out the whole world, it distorts your own reflection. You begin to mistake the noise for wisdom. You start to believe that because you've mastered the game of money, you've mastered the game of life itself. Welcome to the ego's new playground. There is a dangerous hallucination that comes with a high net worth, the belief that because you're good at making money, you're suddenly good at everything. This is the ultimate unmasking of arrogance. We see it all the time. The CEO who thinks they're a philosopher, the athlete who thinks they're a geopolitical expert, or the tech mogul who believes they can solve human nature. Wealth has a way of turning a very specific, specialized skill into a full-blown God complex.
You ask me if I have a God complex? Let me tell you something. I am God.
When the world starts to treat you like an oracle because your bank account is full, it takes a rare kind of character to stay grounded. Money unmasks the divide between two types of people: those who are humble enough to admit they caught a few lucky breaks, and those who are delusional enough to believe that they're a superior species. In this playground, money isn't just a currency, it's a shield against reality. It allows you to build the world where your ideas are never challenged and where your intelligence is never questioned. It reveals whether you were ever actually seeking the truth or if you were looking for enough power to make everyone agree with your lies. But a God complex is a lonely place to live. When you stop seeing yourself as a regular person, you start looking at everyone else differently too. You begin to wonder if the people in your life are actually your friends, or if they are just fans of your bank account. This is the Relationship Audit. Money is like a chemical. The second it enters the room, the entire vibe changes. The real unmasking isn't just about you, it's about everyone around you. Suddenly, you aren't sure if your friends are laughing because the joke is funny or because you are the one who's paying for the dinner. You start to wonder if loyalty is the word people use when there is a seat for them on the private jet. It's a lonely realization. When you have everything, it's hard to know who's there for you and who's there for the stuff. But the most brutal part isn't what it does to them, it's what it reveals about you. When you don't need anyone for a favor or a paycheck anymore, how do you treat the people who can't do anything for you? Do the waiter, the driver, or the assistant suddenly become background characters in your movie? If you start treating people like tools, the second you can buy their time, you didn't change. You just finally showed up that you have never actually cared about the people at all. You only played nice because you had to.
You will honor me.
But once you have sorted through your relationships and realized who's truly in your corner, you're left with the only thing money can't buy: a purpose. Most people think their character is defined by how hard they work, but they have never actually had a chance not to. The real unmasking happens when the struggle ends and the clock stops being your master. Welcome to the Boredom Test. Most people spend 40 to 60 hours a week doing things they have to. Their character is hidden behind the grind. But the true character isn't what you do when you are busy, it's what you do when you don't have anything to do at all. When the struggle is over and the survival mask is off, how do you spend a regular Tuesday morning? When you have enough money to buy back every hour of your life, total freedom becomes an ultimate unmasker. It strips away the most convenient excuse in history: I just don't have time. We all say we'd write that book, start that charity, or get in shape if we weren't so busy working. Wealth calls that bluff. Do you use that freedom to create, to serve, or do you slowly start to decay in a cycle of easy pleasures?
But the good news is the whiskey works.
Without the pressure of a deadline or a debt, most people realize they don't actually like the person they are when they are left alone. You finally see the truth when there is nothing left to distract you from yourself. But after you spend enough time in the silence of total freedom, you hit the wall. You realize that having everything is a nightmare if you don't actually like the person holding it. You stop looking at the price tags and start looking at the person in the mirror. Welcome to the real you. Here is the brutal final unmasking. Money is a specialist. It is incredibly good at solving money problems. It kills the debt, it buys the comfort, and it funds the distractions. But it is completely, pathetically powerless against a human problem. It won't fix your loneliness, it just makes it more expensive. It won't heal your trauma, it just gives you a quieter room to sit in while you bleed. It doesn't make you more loved, more respected, or more at peace. It just removes the noise, so you can finally hear how empty you actually are. The struggle is over, the bank account is full, and you have bought everyone's silence, and now you're left with the only person you can't buy your way away from: yourself.
I've been looking for you.
You spend your entire life sprinting toward a number, convinced that on the other side of that comma you'd finally be better. But you arrived, and you're the same insecure, angry, bored person you were at 18. just with a more expensive brick against your skin. If the money vanished tomorrow, would there be anything left of you worth keeping? Or are you just a collection of the expensive things held together by a paycheck? If you want to keep exploring the parts of life that most people are too busy or too afraid to talk about, stick around. Subscribe if you're more interested in building a character worth having than a bank account worth hiding behind. I'll see you in the next one.